Thanks for visiting us at Justice on Demand. I have a short video here on car accidents, as these tend to be sort of the most common source of injury for most people. So let's talk about what are the primary causes of car accidents. A lot of times these are caused by people speeding, people that are following too close. You've probably unfortunately seen this yourself driving around. Unsafe lane changes, people darting in and out of traffic, not paying attention, not checking their mirrors. Left-hand turns. This is a big one where I live at in the East Valley, um, where there's a lot of unprotected yellows and greens, I should say. And people will make left-hand turns without yielding the right of way to people that are going straight, especially when the lights turn yellow and is about to turn red. People not paying attention, maybe they're fiddling with the radio, they've got some food in their lap or something like that. Maybe they have people in the car that are distracting them. Cell phones is unfortunately still a very large cause of auto accidents. You don't have to drive around for long to constantly see people sitting down looking like this on their cell phone while they're driving. DUIs is also another one. This could be driving while under the influence of alcohol or marijuana or some other substance, even if it's a prescription substance, it's still considered a DUI. What are the elements? What do we have to prove to win your case? There are four main elements for a personal injury case that we have to prove in order to win. The first one is liability. That just means who was at fault, who was responsible for causing it. Now in Arizona is what we call a comparative fault state, meaning that you can be found to be 20% at fault and you still receive 80% of the value of your case. So even if you're technically 99% at fault, if you're 1% that you're not at fault, you would still have a claim for that 1%. Now because of costs and things like that, it may not necessarily be worth it for you to pursue a case in that scenario, but Arizona is a comparative fault state, meaning that you can allocate fault on a percentage basis to one person and split it with the other person. Um, Damages just simply means were you hurt? Did you have medical bills as a result of your injuries? This can be. We generally think that the larger someone's medical bills are, the more somebody's hurt. So, for example, if you had one person who had $5,000 in medical bills versus somebody who had $25,000 in medical bills, you would probably assume that the person who had $25,000 in medical bills was hurt more severely than the person with only five. Um, it's not always a hard and fast rule. I've had clients who've had broken ribs, and there's not, aside from going to the ER and getting an X-ray, there's not necessarily a lot that you can do for broken ribs. Um, Never had any broken ribs, but I've heard they're quite painful. So that's a scenario where you might not have a whole lot of medical bills, but you still unfortunately suffered a lot of pain and suffering. Um, the third element is what we call causation. Causation just means did the accident cause your injuries? So a lot of us are not 25 anymore, and we may have some prior dings and bruises and things that we've gone through in our life, or we've had prior injuries. Maybe we have, a bad knee from playing football or basketball, or maybe you have a prior auto accident that injured your back. Um, Simply put, causation just looks at how much of the accident contributed to what you're going through right now. So, for example, if you had back pain and on a regular basis you'd rate it a 2 out of 10, and you get into an auto accident, now it's an 8 out of 10, then the other party is going to be responsible from that difference from 2 to 8 out of 10. Um, Same thing as if you have an accident after one that we're talking about. So I had a client who unfortunately had a traumatic brain injury, and we were deep into litigation, probably going to go to trial. He unfortunately had another accident, a car accident, um, where he again hit his head and was injured and had to go to the hospital for it. Unfortunately, in that scenario, now it becomes a lot more complicated to look at, okay, how much of his head injury that he has be suffering with is related to the first accident versus the second accident. So those are all issues that an attorney will kind of help sort out for you. The final aspect we have to have is what we call an ability to pay. You might have the best personal injury case in the world, but if there's no insurance to go after, then it's not going to be worth a whole lot. Um, Generally, in most situations, you're going to be limited to the amount of insurance available by the person who caused the car accident. It's possible that if they have a homeowner's insurance policy, that they would may have an umbrella um, where you can seek additional funds from that. But generally speaking, you're going to be limited to whatever the policy is of the other driver. Now you might ask, well, what if the other person didn't have insurance or didn't have enough insurance? Unfortunately, this happens a lot. I believe the stats estimate that 15 to 20% of people in Arizona are out there driving with no insurance whatsoever, which is a scary thing to think or to know. The best way you can protect yourself is by having really good uninsured slash underinsured coverage. If you go into your log on to your insurance provider's website and take a look at what's called the declaration page, it'll show you how much you have. I recommend a bare minimum of $100,000 per person of underinsured slash uninsured coverage. That way, if you unfortunately are in an accident by somebody who doesn't have insurance, you'll be able to be made whole and have your medical bills taken care of. What are some things to focus on when picking a car accident attorney? I would recommend that you pick an attorney who primarily or exclusively focuses on personal injury law. Their personal injury law is very broad, very deep, and contains a lot of different topics and a lot of different rules and things to kind of be concerned about. I kind of use the example of a surgeon. If, for example, you needed a surgery on your foot, you probably wouldn't want to go get a consult from a surgeon who does hand surgeries. They might be somewhat similar, and maybe the hand surgeon could kind of wing your foot surgery, but you don't want someone to just wing it on your if you're having surgery. Same thing with hiring a lawyer. You want to find someone who focuses exclusively on personal injury law. Uh, a lot of the commercials that you'll see out there, they all say that their attorneys are aggressive and that they're they play hardball and we go after the insurance companies. In my experience, that's not necessarily true. You need to find an attorney who's willing to litigate your case no matter what. Um, and that means litigate simply means to file a lawsuit. That's how the insurance companies know if an attorney is aggressive, is if they're willing to litigate and see it all the way through. There's a lot of people who say they're aggressive but aren't willing to actually file a lawsuit or go through litigation. And the reason for that is that litigation takes a lot more time, it takes some money, and it is more of an inconvenience to attorneys than settling prior to filing a lawsuit. Also, make sure you ask them about their case costs. Some firms have very high fees that are in addition to the contingency fee. So, for example, they may have a setup fee of $500 to $1,000 that comes off the top. They may have fees for negotiating your medical bills or ordering your medical records. We don't have any fees or anything like that at Justice on Demand, so no need to worry there. Uh, if you've been injured in an auto accident and would like to talk more, please give us a call at 480-934-0676. You can also email us at info@justiceondemand.com. All of our consultations are 100% free, friendly, and will give you the advice you're looking for. You'll also be able to speak with an actual attorney.